The elite shock troops of Sector Fleet 9 stood completely frozen in a puddle. Sealing water dripped heavily onto their thick metal plating. Exposed wiring sparked above their heads in the dim corridor. No warnings, no weapons, no escape. A teenage girl in a gray hoodie leaned against the metal lockers. She casually clicked a multicolored plastic pen. Her eyes locked onto mine as she waited for us to surrender. I submitted the official pacification report. You need to hear exactly how we lost. 12 minutes earlier, the room smelled faintly of aged floor wax. A wall clock ticked loudly in the quiet space of Sector 4, Central Heights Secondary. My forces materialized directly in the center of the room. The air shifted with a sharp, loud hum. I wore heavy titanium armor. My mandibles clicked as I scanned the soft humans sitting at their wooden desks. They were supposed to panic. Cease movement, my vocal amplifier boomed. Interlock your digits. You are now under the rule of the Cathari Coalition. One boy in the back row kept chewing an orange snack. Dust coated his fingers. Two other students tapped on small, glowing screens. They did not even look up. A girl near the window asked if this was an early joke for the senior class. I turned to Sub-High Commander Vax. Activate the synaptic dampener field, lock their motor functions. Vax pushed a button on his wrist armor. A low blue light designed to shut down adult neural pathways washed over the room. The field always stopped panic before it started. Our scientists based the weapon on mature brain waves. They assumed all life followed a strict path of logic. They did not study the chaotic, messy brain of an Earth teenager. The dampener field just gave them a mild headache. A girl in the front row sighed loudly. Anya Volkov. She wore a bright hoodie, red and blue. She leaned her elbows on her wooden desk and stared right at me. They should be stuck to their seats, Vax hissed. They clearly are not, I said. Anya held a small can, the label read Industrial Sanitizer. She turned it over in her hands, looking completely bored. Click. She pressed the top of her multicolored pen. Click. You guys really suck at picking an entry point, Anya said. She knew exactly where we messed up. I stepped forward, my heavy boot cracked the floor tile. Silence. Anya did not blink. You dropped right into the middle of the room. You gave up the door. There are 30 of us and 2 of you, and you talked too much. You gave us 15 seconds to think. Vax growled. He raised his automated blaster. The weapon locked onto her chest. Anya just raised one finger. The pen clicked again. Your armor, she said. It has auto filters for strange air, right? I stood taller. Our suits adapt to any harsh world. Cool, she said. She pointed the red-capped can at Vax. She pressed the nozzle. A thick mist of cheap chemical cleaner sprayed into the air. It smelled like fake lemons and burning alcohol. The alien armor sensors read the spray as a serious threat. The suit fans kicked into high gear. They sucked the harsh mist directly into Vax's helmet. Vax dropped his blaster. He grabbed his throat. Purple fluid leaked from his eyes. He screamed and fell to his knees. That was the moment the humans realized we could bleed. The room exploded into motion. A boy hit a red box on the wall. A loud, ringing bell tore through the building. The fire alarm. Anya stood up. Get the heavy books. I raised my weapon, but a thick blue textbook hit my helmet hard. The humans threw everything they could lift: books, chairs, metal boxes. The heavy impacts triggered my automatic energy shield. The shield flashed white, but it drained power from my magnetic boots. I stumbled backwards. My automated defense systems went crazy trying to track 50 different flying objects. The system overloaded. Another student rushed in from the hall. She held a large red cylinder. A fire extinguisher. She pulled a pin and sprayed thick white foam across the floor. I tried to step, but my heavy armor found no grip on the wax and foam. I crashed onto my back. The metal shell dented the floor. Anya watched me struggle. She tapped her glowing phone screen. Sector 4 is secure. Send them to the gym. I tapped my radio. Squad Gamma, materialize in the main hallway. Use kinetic barriers. Vax was still coughing on the floor. I grabbed his arm and dragged him toward the door. We slid on the wet foam. The alarm kept ringing. They fight like wild animals, Vax gasped. No, I said, they are coordinating. We reached the hallway. My tactical screen fed me live data from the rest of the school. It was a disaster. I had pacified 42 worlds. I had never seen a population fight back with cleaning supplies. In the cafeteria, Sector Fleet 9 soldiers faced a rain of hard metal trays. A kitchen worker used thick serving spoons to block blaster fire. The metal was too dense for our standard heat rays. The spoons just got hot. She threw hot cooking oil from a massive metal vat. The oil coated our troops. Then the humans threw small white bags of powder, flour. The powder stuck to the oil. Our men looked like white ghosts, their joints jammed. In a room filled with black tables and glass tubes, students mixed clear liquids. Our troops walked into a cloud of burning smoke, a trap built from simple liquids. The humans wore cheap plastic goggles. My soldiers had melted visors. They called it chemistry class. The worst reports came from the athletic bay. Our troops faced a barrage of heavy red spheres. The humans threw them with terrifying speed. The spheres bounced off the walls, hitting our men from behind. They called it dodgeball. I checked the human network. Their small data devices were sending messages faster than our military encryption could crack them. They used strange codes, short phrases sent instantly. Meet at the lockers. Bring the heavy stuff. Skip chem, go to the quad. They were teenagers, their brains were still growing. They did not think in straight lines. They adapted instantly to chaos. Our adult, doctrine-bound minds could not keep up. The tactical field was built for normal warfare. It was not built for adolescent psychology. Another report flashed on my screen. The Academic Archive Squad requested immediate extraction. A group of humans had pinned them behind tall wooden shelves. We were losing to office supplies, tape, paper, metal clips. The staplers pierced our soft undersuits. I watched their video network. They were streaming the fight. Millions of humans were watching us fail in real time. A student had recorded Vax crying on the floor. It already had 50 million views. The humans were laughing at us. That broke our morale faster than the physical pain. "Hi, Commander," my radio cracked. "Squad Gamma has arrived. We are forming a wall in the main corridor." I pushed myself up from the wet floor. "Hold the line, turn off your air filters, raise all kinetic plates." We moved down the hall. The fire alarm finally stopped. The silence felt worse. The ceiling above us was lined with long glass tubes. Lights, old human engineering. Anya stood at the end of the hall. She was alone. She held her multicolored pen. I aimed my weapon at her. "It ends here, human." She did not move, does it? I heard a low hiss coming from the ceiling. The fire sprinklers had activated. Water poured down from the metal grates above. The hallway flooded in seconds. The water mixed with the wax and the foam from the classroom. 12 soldiers of Squad Gamma stood in the center of the hall. Their heavy boots splashed in the puddles. Their tall kinetic barriers hummed with blue energy. They looked like a perfect wall of metal and power. But they were standing in water. I looked at the water, I looked at the ceiling. The ceiling lights were old, full of exposed wires. My armor's database told me human buildings were safe. The files said civilian structures lacked offensive traps. The files were entirely wrong. Human civilian buildings were built with cheap, layered systems that failed constantly, and these humans knew exactly how to break them on purpose. "Squad Gamma, advance," I ordered. The 12 soldiers took one step forward. The water rippled around their boots. Anya stood perfectly still. Before the trap sprang, she raised her hand. She calmly pulled down the sleeve of her gray hoodie. She pushed down the blue lever on her plastic pen. Click. We were back in the flooded corridor. The cold water soaked my boots. Squad Gamma stood like statues in the rising puddle. I finally understood her plan. The kinetic barriers used raw electrical power to block solid objects. The water connected the shields directly to the ceiling. "Stop," I yelled, but it was too late. The cascade started at the far end of the hall. The first glass light bulb popped. Sparks rained down. They hit the wet floor. The current surged through the water and slammed into the first soldier's kinetic barrier. The alien suit tried to block the energy. It pulled more power from its core. The second light exploded. More sparks, more current. A massive electrical feedback loop raced down the hallway. It hit Squad Gamma like a solid wall. The blue barriers flashed blind white. The suits could not handle the sudden surge of raw, unshaped electricity. Every single soldier's armor triggered its emergency shutdown protocol. The core batteries locked, the joints froze, the systems died to protect the user inside. They adapted, they cornered them, they froze them. 12 elite shock troops, the best in the fleet, stood completely dead in the water. They were trapped in their own heavy metal shells. They could not move a single finger. Anya lowered her pen. "Your safety limits are really bad," she said. She pulled a radio from her pocket. "Cancel the cafeteria brick drop, we don't need it." The hallway was quiet except for the dripping water. Vax groaned from the floor. He still could not see. I slowly removed my helmet. The cool earth air hit my face. I smelled the burnt wires and the cheap floor wax. It took 43 minutes to pull our forces out. Or rather, 44 if you count the time they spent laughing. We had to ask the humans for help. 4 teenagers used a metal cart to push Squad Gamma out of the building. I had to sign a formal paper for the school leader. I apologized for breaking the cafeteria tables. Before I boarded the dropship, Anya walked up to me. She handed me a clear plastic bag. Inside was the red-capped aerosol canister. "Keep it," she said, "for your tactical files." I took the bag. I looked at the cheap plastic nozzle. It was not a weapon of war. It was proof that we did not understand this world. The alien ship lifted off the cracked black pavement. The red canister, a simple cleaning tool, sat heavily on the metal dashboard. Below, the school bell rang across the empty yard.